Welcome to our homestead and welcome to our garden. We have a lot of our spring planting already in the ground here in Zone 8B in Texas. We still have a few things to get in the ground like this Swiss chard. So with the warmer temperatures here in my zone in Texas come the insects as well. And every year those insects do a number on my little seedlings. So finally this year we've got row covers that we are putting on, and this acts as a little bit of a frost blanket and it covers and protects from those insects. So let me show you what we got for our garden this year and where we got it from. This is a medium weight row cover. It works as a frost blanket, but it won't protect from a freeze. So that dew that's coming down when it's just hitting 32 degrees, it'll fall on this instead of your sensitive seedlings. It's also a 20% shade cloth. Technically, it lets through 80% of the light. So if you haven't had a good amount of time to harden off your seedlings in the spring, this will act as a little bit of a barrier to give them a little bit more protection from an intense sun. And then of course for us, the big one, protecting from insects and all those insects, all those moths waking up and wanting to lay eggs everywhere they can in the spring. This is going to protect them, our seedlings, from them. Not to mention flies like carrot fly too. Okay, this is 9-gauge galvanized steel wire. It's 171 feet long, and this is used to make the hoops. This is probably the best thing that I found to make hoops for a low tunnel or a very low row cover. You can cut this pretty easily with a pair of wire cutters, but a pair of bolt cutters would work the best for this. And then I've got some landscape staples, and I'll show you how we construct the row cover and what I do with these. So I got all of this stuff at Grower Solution, the same place that I got my greenhouse at. They have almost everything that you need for a small farm, a small market garden, or a big home garden like this. And that's including the DeWitt weed barrier that I used in my garden for years. This stuff is great. This piece right here, I think, is about 4 years old. And then they also have the drip irrigation kits that I've shown in a previous video on how I set everything up. You can click on that video at the top of the screen. And I used that whole system in my greenhouse as well. So before I put the row cover on, I'm going to get my seedlings into the ground. And these Swiss chard seedlings are going to go right next to the ones that I just transplanted over from the greenhouse. Now from that big coil of wire that you can get from Grower Solution, they tell you that you can get 32 hoops that are 5 foot 3 inches long. And it's already, you know, pre-coiled, so they've got this nice bend to them, which is cool. And they suggest you put them, I believe it's 6 inches in the ground, but for us, we're gonna go a little bit deeper because we have such a soft soil. So I like to cut mine 6 foot long, gives me a few less hoops, but no big deal. What we're gonna do is we're gonna space them between 3 and 5 feet apart. You really don't want to go any longer than that, or that row cover is going to sag in the middle onto your plants. The row covers come in widths of 6 foot, which is what I have here, 10 foot and 12 foot. And that works best when covering rows that are about 36 inches wide. Mine are a little bit wider because I started this garden without the understanding of kind of standardized market gardening practices, and 3 foot or 30-inch to 3 foot beds are the best width. So these are going to sit a little bit different on mine, but that's no big deal. I'm going to tie these on the end with this garden twisty ties, and I'll show you how to do that in a second once I get this cover over the top. These come also in 25, 50, and 100 foot lengths, I believe. This is going to work out the easiest if you have a partner to help you with this because it is fairly light, and if there's a little bit of a breeze, it's going to take off on you. Whatever you can use to weigh them down is good. I've got a bunch of old bricks just sitting around here. Now this fabric is a touch bit delicate, but it should last you for several years if you are careful with it. I want to cut these at least 3 to 4 feet past the end of the bed here, and that's going to give me a little bit to cinch up at the end so nothing gets underneath. So what I'm going to do at the end here is just cinch this up like this, and then I'm going to tie it, or twisty tie it, with this long garden twine or twist tie here. In my opinion, this is a little bit easier than trying to tie it with some sort of twine, but it is your personal preference. So for us, I'm just gonna go over the edge of the garden bed here, and actually I don't even need the hammer, but that'll go right down into the ground and really pull this tight over the sides. Now on the side of the row cover, you do want to hold it down because it can blow up and then your moss and your flies are gonna get in anyway. But you can use whatever you have. We've got scrap brick laying around. A lot of people like to use T-posts, but with T-posts, these are kind of valuable to use around the rest of the property. We've got a few extra, so we're gonna put them on the side. And that really does a great job of holding down a long section of it. So back here you can see I've already got the hoop set up. We are going to be doing beans in this bed back here, and I want to protect them. Like last year we had a lot of cucumber beetle and bean leaf beetle get on there and really start munching on the leaves themselves, and I really don't want to continuously spray all the time. What's nice, you can see I've run our irrigation down directly underneath it, which is great, so you can keep them watered. Even though the row covers themselves don't stop the penetration from water overhead, it doesn't give a fine, even watering if you're trying to water from overhead. So you'd have to pull it back and then water underneath and then pull it back again. But the water or the drip irrigation underneath works perfect. Now I'm also utilizing this for our beds in our greenhouse, just to keep the moss and flies off of our very tender seedlings, like under here, some bok choy. You can see I already had a little bit of damage before I got this cover on. So I just wanted to mention that if we had good soil health here on the homestead, we wouldn't really need these row covers because insects usually do not attack healthy plants. But we are still building our soil. We are still building the biology into our soil. That's part of the reason why we did the Johnson-Su bioreactor. If you haven't seen that video, click at the top of the screen. But once you get that whole network of biology into your soil and working with the plant roots of your new plants that you're planting each year, then you're really not going to have to worry about insects that much. But it's been a long struggle to get that soil correct. Adding more compost, adding more organic matter, not disturbing the soil as much, and doing a no-till method, that is all contributing to what we need to do to get the soil to a super healthy level so we don't have to worry about anything like disease and pests. But in the meantime, these row covers are going to help us out a ton. So as always, I will leave links to everything that we use in our garden, including these new row covers, in the description below the video. Now go click on this series of videos right here, which shows you exactly how we built that greenhouse behind us by ourselves. Have a beautiful, blessed day. We'll see you next time. Bye.